Good morning. Um, great win on Saturday and a great program win. Uh, top to bottom in terms of our program is something we certainly needed to have to get that confidence rolling and move forward, especially going into a two-game road swing. You know, tomorrow. It's Central Florida and then Oklahoma State on Saturday. So I think we're trending in the right direction, and we showed that um, some very positive things in that Kansas game and what we're capable of doing. And, we're even feel like we're getting closer to having a complete roster and getting, a day by day situation with Jesse. Yeah, we're trending in the right direction and we got to keep that momentum going. I was very pleased with how we, performed offensively against Kansas. One of the glaring statistics for me was the 19 assists on offense. And like I told our guys, and we kind of showed some of that yesterday in practice and film, 8 of 9 of our guys that touched the floor had an assist. So that's how connected we got to be on offense to get, good looks and uncontested looks. And we certainly manufactured a lot more uncontested looks than we had in the past, especially when you compare our game film to, Oklahoma and some of those others that we've dropped. So great team effort. A lot to improve on the defensive end. We gave up 53% from the field and they 85 points. So like I told these guys, each and every night you're not going to be able to outscore people, but in this instance, that's kind of what happened. We shot the ball well enough to outscore someone. It wasn't what we did on the defensive end.
Okay, our first question comes from Greg Hunter.
So, Josh, because of your guys' improved play, it seems like the chemistry, at least game day chemistry, I'm not saying you guys had bad, personal chemistry before, but game day chemistry seems much better. Is it just a matter of time of getting the guys all to play together? What's leading to all this?
I've spoke about that a lot. I mean, a lot of these guys have played. Almost any opponent you play have been playing for 15 games together, maybe even 18 if they played a foreign tour. So they had developed a lot more chemistry. And if we were going to be successful, especially with all the changes in our roster and adding guys so late, whether it be Raekwon and Kerr and Noah and even a Cook and losing Jesse. And so, I mean, the chemistry, we didn't have time to develop that. And the success was probably going to be predetermined based on how quickly that chemistry was built, because it's hard to build chemistry when you're going against some of the best of the best and the best conference in the country. And we had a couple games under our belt with the majority of our roster, and then you go to Houston for your first league game, which is probably the best defensive team in the country. So those are things that will set you back from a chemistry standpoint, trying to build that. But we certainly, winning 2 of the last 3 and a couple of top 25 wins can go a long ways with us in terms of our confidence and building that chemistry. And I think people are, especially the guys on the roster and everybody's kind of fallen are starting to learn their role and what it's going to take for us to be successful as a team.
So, a follow up to that, now you're going to add another piece or, reintroduce Jesse back to the lineup. How does that change what you've done, just chemistry not necessarily, scheme wise?
Yeah, hopefully that's a smoother transition. Credit to Pat Sumnick, which has done an absolute phenomenal job, especially here in the last 2, 3, 4 games. Filling that void for us and giving us that presence down low, especially on the defensive end. Guarding some of these bigs and shoring up our deficiency there at the 5 position. But he's done an absolute phenomenal job and a key to our success probably in the last several games that we've come up on the winning side of.
Next question comes from Kevin Kinder.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Morning, Joe.
You've used the word connected several times describing your offense and what you're striving toward. And I guess on one level, that just means passing, sharing the ball. But does it go deeper than that? Can you tell us a little bit more about that and your goals for what being connected truly is?
I mean, more than anything, it's we talk a lot about shot selection. We also talk a lot about, like I've talked in the past, trying to uh, get uncontested looks, cleaner looks, and we break down a lot of film in this program and trying to find those opportunities where there's another pass to be made. Excuse me. We found over the course of the last, especially the last 5-6 games, that we're leaving a lot of uncontested looks at the table because we're forcing things and we're not recognizing the next pass. And sometimes whether it be a comfort dribble that somebody thinks they need to bounce and allows that defense to rotate, or not getting it out of our hands quick enough, which allows the defense to rotate. But regardless, we're not recognizing that quick enough. And that's typically what I'm talking about with being connected. There's several options to any given offense or any given play. Are we infatuated with the first option, or do we look at our counter options on the back end of the play? So when I say connected, it's kind of covers a lot of those things in terms of being more efficient on the offensive end.
And one quick follow-up, does that heavy film study and the use of that, does that really come from your background, being a video guy for a while and, having that being one of your main things?
Yeah, it was that's a priority for me from day one, especially when I chose my staff and young assistants. And it was great that Deshaun had done that video role with the Knicks, and he was very, very proficient with the video. And I told my young staff, like, I want you guys to all be able to do this and kind of be your own video coordinator and not have to rely on younger guys to kind of help you cut all that film, because it is such a necessary tool, teaching tool in today's game, and especially with the rosters the way they are, and college basketball the way it is, that there's so much turnover, and so there needs to be a lot more teaching from a video standpoint, and we've made that a priority here since I've taken over.
We'll move to John and Tony.
Josh, I have two. The first one, Central Florida. What did they do well against Kansas and Texas to win those games?
They were down 16 against Kansas at one point. They threw some zone at both those guys, or both those teams, and it really threw them off. They hadn't shown much zone at all prior to the Kansas game. And I think it threw them for a loop. Yeah, it's things started going their direction, and they started seeing some shots fall, and their defensive intensity just continued to raise throughout that game. And they were so active defensively that they really gave both those teams some problems. And they're not really. I don't think at the end of the day he's a zone guy. I mean, I think he's wants to primarily be a man-to-man coach, but he will change a lot of defenses on you, and his man-to-man and is as good as anybody's in the country. I mean, I think they have a number 4 defensive ranking, and they're 24th in the country in opponents' points per game. So they hang their head on their defense, and they got a good group of very physical, a very physical roster from top to bottom that can really give you problems on the defensive end.
The second one here, how do you take what you did against Kansas on the road now, and what is your philosophy on how you approach this with your guys in road games?
We got to rebound first and foremost. I mean, it's a broken record in our program. We have to rebound. I think, like I've told those guys, we can do all the game planning we want, but if we're not quick to the ball and we're not taking care of the glass, we're going to have a hard time beating anybody. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we out rebounded Texas by 1 and out rebounded Kansas by 9 and won those games. So that's first and foremost. We got to travel. When we travel and hit the road, we got to have that type of intensity that we've had in the last couple of games here at the Coliseum, and try to be quick to the ball and not be playing on our heels. And I thought that was kind of the case in the Houston game. I thought that was kind of the case in the Oklahoma game. I felt like we were, playing on our heels a lot, and we were, they were always quicker to the ball. So we got to turn up that intensity and pretend like we got 16,000 fans behind us and root for us. So we got to figure out a way to muster that energy and bring it to the table tomorrow.
John Raby.
In the month since Raekwon was allowed by a judge to compete, how has that decision affected him both on and off the basketball court, including his mental outlook and overall demeanor and happiness?
It's been great. Ray's all smiles. He's got basketball in his life, and he's had multiple family members, traveling to see him play, and it's meant the world to him that he can just compete in the game he loves and compete, with the lights on, not just in practice. So I said over and over, Ray needs that, and he certainly needs that competitive, fire. He needs to fuel that each and every day. And the game of basketball is where he gets his happiness. So it's meant the world to him, and it's so happy. I'm so happy for him that that worked out in his favor, and so many other guys across the country that been sitting and trying to figure out what their next move was. But for everybody to be able to compete, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good.
I guess travel will be a little bit better today, or?
No, I'm crossing my fingers. It's everything's smooth so far today. I think we got a plane in the air and it's headed to Clarksburg. So, hopefully we don't have a mechanic doing anything or some mechanical issues that throw us off. But knock on wood, we're smooth sailing so far, and we're headed to sunshine. I assume there's sunshine down there. I haven't looked. My luck, it might be raining, but I hope there's some sunshine that we can soak up.
Hey, a question on Jesse here. I mean, obviously, he practiced the day before the Kansas game, dressed for the Kansas game. As you take this trip now, this road trip, what will go into the decision on whether or not he plays? Is it how he feels? Is it what your gut tells you? Is it what the doctors say? Is it a combination? What will go into that decision?
It will be everything. I mean, we say we practiced before KU. He did. He did very, very limited 5-on-5. So he was there. He was active. All the 5-on-0 drills. He was in. But it was we limited on his 5-on-5, and we did throw him out there for some contact drills and see where he was. But he got uncomfortable at one point, trying to guard Big Ali, in the post, and we backed off as soon as he felt that uncomfort. And we got to be careful with it, make sure we're not pushing it too fast. And so, he warmed up against Kansas, and was it far-fetched that we, throw him in at any given point? If we got very desperate, I think he would have been all for it. But I got to be smart with him. That's right. My responsibility is to do the best thing by our guys. And just because a guy is, raring to go and is willing to, it doesn't mean it's the best for him. So, we went light yesterday. We did a lot of film. We did a lot of, walking through their sets. We got shots up. And so we didn't do any contact yesterday, 5-on-5 contact. So I didn't have that to go off of. So today, when we travel down to Orlando, we'll see where he's at, what his comfort level is. and throw him out there probably at some more 5-on-5 to see where he is. So it's a fluid situation. Not sure if he'll go tomorrow or not. But the good thing is Pat's playing really well and giving us great minutes. So we don't feel as forced, feel like we have to force the issue as much as we probably would have maybe a week or so ago if we were in the same situation.
And then one last thing here. Obviously, they probably all played together over the summer. I don't know how much of that you really get to watch, because you obviously got other things to do. So, like when Jesse's out there on the floor now, even if it's just in a limited experience, he's out there now with Raekwon, with Kerr, with Noah. I'm sure that hasn't always been the case. Do you have any kind of idea what the potential looks like, if that makes any sense? What that group looks like together, because they probably haven't been together. I mean,
no, I've seen them like in the preseason practices. I'd switched a lot of those teams up and continue to work through it. And I've seen the combination of Kerr and Ray and Jesse and other complementary pieces with them. And I was very, very excited about that, those guys playing. And I felt like we had some real good depth. At that point, I never thought Noah was going to play by any means. But, yeah, I've seen them together. It's probably, you go back to the early interviews. I was pretty right. I had a big smile on my face thinking, those guys are going to be with us from day one. And it just wasn't the case. Kerr's 9-game suspension and Ray not playing the first 10 and then Jesse getting hurt. So, I've seen him plenty playing together. It's a special unit when you get all those guys together.
Thank you, Coach.
Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, Josh, along the lines of what Justin was asking, but quite different in a way. Obviously, when Jesse got hurt, told you it'd be about a month, you knew he'd be coming back. You probably started thinking about how you were going to use him, et cetera, and what your lineup would look like. Pat Sumner comes along and changes, I suspect, many of the views and the things. You're talking about how good your chemistry is now. How do you work that out? I mean, does Sumner go back to where he was at 4? Can they play together, or should they be on the floor at different times? So what are your thoughts on that as they get ready?
We certainly play together. But we also have other guys that options, and that's that's what I wish I had from the beginning was options. And Pat is probably he's become and the best 5 option outside of what I had with Jesse. So he certainly can shore up any minutes that you don't fill with Jesse, but he can also play the 4 and guard the 4. And Cook is he's a 4 as well. So Quinn is a 4. So we have more depth there, more options. So early on in the season, I'm always worried about was Jesse getting in foul trouble and how we navigate that. Now I feel like we've got that shored up to where we can be more aggressive with Jesse, and we have Pat to service all those minutes if he does get in foul trouble. So I just feel like I have more flexibility, and from a coaching standpoint, especially in this league, having some flexibility with your roster is going to be critical.
It seems like Pat's a big part of that chemistry that you've been talking about, his energy, his stuff. So obviously you want to see that he gets minutes even when Jesse's back, I presume.
Yeah, he's going to be a critical part of anything we do moving forward, and that's having that confidence rolling, and he knows deep down the way he can play. And I don't think he's even second guessing himself in any way at this point. So that's just going to be, in our best interest, with that confidence that he's rolling with.
Thank you.
Mike Kazaza.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Thank you. You covered a bunch of stuff. Just one thing I want to go back to. You played very well against Texas, very well against Kansas. Common denominator there. They're both ranked, but you both have them at home. Oklahoma in between, just very different. also ranked teams. So that has something to do with it, I'm sure. But is it as simple what you watched live and on film, just being on the road, or I know some unique things went into that, but just that energy or that focus or that whatever you lacked, excuse me, whatever you lacked that day you've had in the home games, or is it more than that? And you can't just say, oh, we're on the home, things will be better, and hey, we better be a little bit
No,
better
I mean,
on the road.
it's been kind of the theme. Like we don't have a road win. Houston, we went to Oklahoma. We don't have a road win, and those are two very hard ones to get. Two very hard places to play. Central Florida is going to be no different, but we need to prioritize a road win. We need to figure out, what are we lacking on the road that we're getting at home, and as coaching staff, we continue to look at what we can do to have them prepared and ready, and have that pep in their step, and be the first one to the floor. We need to be the first one to the floor and set that tone on the road, just like you kind of set that tone, at home. So, that's the goal. We have one goal in mind right now, and that's getting the road.
It could be lineups, it could be anything that happens in the game, but it also sounds like how you get your team to the jump too. I mean, rest, preparation, film instead of practice. How much of just thinking through things and I don't even know if you can be consistent because maybe all these road trips are different, but you almost have to win that battle before the game. Does that make sense?
Oh, I mean, you have to game plan for your rest and recovery as much as you game plan for the team you're playing. So you can have the best game plan in the world and try to execute it, but if you're a step slow to everything you do and you just don't have that energy, you're not going to be successful. So we think about that and we plan for all those things, and you certainly hope travel goes smooth because you see, I'm sure there's a correlation to people's travel and the length of people's travel and their success on the road in this league. It's imperative that everything goes smooth and we have that energy and that focus going into a big road contest down in Florida.
We'll go back to John Antonic.
Last one from me. Just looking at UCF again here. Primarily, their two main scorers are guards. Looks like they get a lot of their points from the backcourt, and then Avery comes off the bench as one of their top scorers. What do you see from their personnel? What gives you concern with them?
Their physicality. They really lock in on the defensive end. They have good size from top to bottom. So we're going to have to be good with the ball. We can't be playing on our heels by any means. We have to, attack them. We have to be the aggressor. They can't have us turned around with their physicality. So, I mean, they're a really good defensive team, and they force a lot of turnovers, and they get up in you. So we can't back down by any means, and we got to take the fight to them.
That concludes our Zoom conference for today. Coach Eilert, thank you for your time.
Thank you.